Welcome to the new Residence Hall project at the Penn State University Brandywine campus. This project is managed under the direction of the joint venture of Barton Malow and EDiS Company. Logistics and procedures. The project site is located at 25 Yearsley Mill Road, Media, Pennsylvania. The project borders Yearsley Mill Road and Route 352. You are located in the Barton Malow EDiS field office. The new residence hall is located as indicated. For this presentation, and unless stated otherwise, access will be considered as both ingress and egress activities. Access of the site is only by virtue of gates A, B, or C. Gate A being defined as the neutral gate. You may only access the gate where your company's name is posted, identified, or assigned. This is an example of the gate signage. Each gate is reserved exclusively for the use of the contractors listed thereon and their employees, visitors, vendors, and suppliers who are required to use the gate and prohibited from using any other gate. Those not posted must use the gate indicated thereon. At no time will anyone be permitted to use multiple gates. Site access via the Route 352 main entrance is not permitted. Access will be via one of the three assigned gates. As an example, we will use the neutral gate, Gate A, as our access. Regardless of the gate assignment, the general path remains the same. The first point of reference is the contractor parking area. All contractors will park in this area and only this area. From the parking area, access to the confines of construction will be via the path shown. Walking through the campus is prohibited. Again, using neutral gate A as an example, departure from the site or access to the construction parking area will be via the path shown. An alternate path for deliveries will be as indicated. Please be aware this path of delivery access will be dependent on varying construction conditions. Highlighted in light blue is the delineation of the confines of construction. During our work here, we are mandated to remain within the confines of construction. This is the laydown and storage area which will accommodate contractor trailers, containers, etc. Parking is not permitted in this area. General rules and requirements. The following items are general to the project as a whole and are not to be considered as any representation of all obligations required contractually or legally. Smoking is not permitted anywhere on the project site, laydown areas, or parking areas. Disposal shall be in only those containers contractually required by your respective company or those provided by Barton Malow EDiS. All restroom usage will be by virtue of those temporary toilet facilities provided by Barton Malow EDiS or your respective company. Access to any campus grounds, buildings, or parking areas is strictly prohibited. Authorized access is only to those areas previously indicated in this presentation. Possession or use of any firearms, illegal narcotics, or alcoholic beverages is prohibited. No work activities, deliveries, disruptions, or noise are permitted before 7 a.m. or after 9 p.m. Evacuation procedures. In the event of an emergency requiring the evacuation of the building project site, you will receive notification to do so. This will be by virtue of 3 long air horn blasts or verbal communication. Upon this notification, you will as quickly and safely as possible leave the building or project site and gather at the Barton Mallow EDIS field office where you are presently located. This will be the emergency gathering area. You will remain at the emergency gathering area until a representative of Barton Mallow EDIS confirms all workers are present and authorizes dismissal. All foremen will submit a written list of all employees on site and report those that are missing. All foremen will include the evacuation condition in their respective daily logs. To validate your orientation, you're required to complete the safety orientation sign-in. Please print the contractor you represent. Please print your name. A numbered safety sticker will be assigned to you. This sticker must be placed on your hard hat and be visible at all times. Parking on the campus site is only permitted upon receipt of a parking pass. Parking is only allowed in the assigned contractor parking area as previously indicated. The parking pass must be displayed in a conspicuous area of the vehicle, for example, on the interior dash area visible through the windshield. To receive the parking pass request form must be completed and approved by Barton Mallow EDIS. All information must be completed. The parking pass is employee and vehicle specific. Vehicles not displaying the parking pass may be towed at the owner's expense. Please be prepared with the required information to expedite the process. The information required will be the name of the person requesting the pass, the driver's license number, the state it was issued in, the vehicle tag number, and the state the tag was issued in. We will begin your safety orientation. Upon conclusion of the orientation, please remain seated until your processing is complete. Thank you for your attendance and work safely.
Now that we've discussed the why of safety, let's discuss the how of safety. Our goal is to achieve 0 injuries and 0 incidents every day on every job site while productively building quality projects. Safety, quality, productivity. How do we achieve this? We achieve a 0 safety incident job site by applying the following equation to every task on every job site. Each of these vital elements can be thought of as a multiplier for safety. Empowerment, planning and communication, and procedures and policies. Each component is vital in calculating our outcome of 0. By multiplying each component by the others, we significantly increase the probability of achieving our goal. 0. 0 first aid cases. 0 unsafe acts. 0 unsafe conditions. 0 near misses. 0 recordable incidents. And 0 lost time injuries. In our goal towards 0, empowerment is a vital safety multiplier. While every job site has a dedicated safety lead, everyone on the site is empowered to take ownership of safety. Safety is both a collective and a personal effort. Barton Mallow has policies, procedures, and communication tools in place to ensure your safety. However, without your personal commitment to safety, the equation is incomplete. If we tally the years of construction and planning experiences of our workers on any given construction site, the collective total would literally translate into centuries of experience. Just as we would be remiss to disregard the fundamentals of building as we construct our projects, we would be equally remiss to disregard the vital power of personal experience. Your personal experience and expertise in the construction industry are vital to ensuring a safe job site. Because of your experience and expertise, you are responsible for your safety and the safety of everyone on this job site. You are empowered to impact the plan. To be clear, you are not only authorized, but you are expected to immediately stop any task at any time that you have a question or concern regarding safety. If you are uncertain about the proper execution of any given task, do not proceed with that task until you fully understand how to execute it safely. If you see an unsafe act or condition on your project, it is not acceptable for you to ignore it. You are expected not only to stop your own unsafe work or conditions, but those of your coworkers. Our next safety multiplier is planning and communication. Safe job site practices begin well before you arrive on site. Rushing, fatigue, and frustrations at the start of your workday can significantly impact your focus and attitude throughout the day. Plan ahead and arrive at work ahead of your scheduled start time. Allow yourself time to dress appropriately for weather and work conditions. Take account of weather and traffic delays to minimize travel frustrations. Have your required PPE neatly organized and ready for use. Your overall health is vital to ensuring a safe job site. All medical conditions that can influence your safety or the safety of anyone on the site should be disclosed to your supervisor and/or your coworkers. Heart conditions, respiratory conditions, hearing impairments, significant allergies, or any condition that may endanger you or your coworkers should be reported. Personal issues and sleep disorders can also significantly impact your ability to stay focused on your task. Likewise, medications can also inhibit your ability to safely perform tasks. If you are taking any medications that could impair your abilities, please disclose this information appropriately. Your privacy and confidential information related to your health and associated restrictions will be respected. Do not attempt to perform any task that you are incapable of performing safely. Workers on a construction site utilize a variety of tools and equipment throughout the workday. All tools that are designed to ensure safety are critical, but among the most vital tools in every worker's toolbox is communication. Effective communication is vital to ensuring the safety of any job site. Communication promotes safety, quality, and productivity. Barton Mallow Company uses a variety of safety communication tools to plan and accomplish tasks safely, including job hazard analysis, pre-task plan, plan of the day, safety huddles, weekly toolbox talks. Job hazard analysis, or JHAs, are the initial step in creating a safe job site plan. JHAs function as the master plan for the job site and are vital in understanding the scope of the project. JHAs address all the primary construction activities such as excavation, concrete work, and steel erection. They are used to plan and communicate site traffic, conflicting tasks, hazardous material handling, weather conditions and constraints, and schedule. Based on the historical information and personal experiences, we can predict potential risk and adjust accordingly. We can put engineering solutions and controls in place to ensure safe execution of any given task. Because the JHA is a master job site plan, all other plans defer to the JHA. When changes are made to the JHA, they must be reflected in any subsequent plans. Pre-task plans are the next planning and communication tool used on site. Pre-task plan documents are developed prior to executing any task and are used as controlling documents for every task. The document is used to identify and communicate numerous requirements, including emergency contact information, tool and fall protection requirements, as well as identifying potential hazards such as hot work and confined spaces. Completion of pre-task plans is required by each crew prior to beginning any task. Crews are required to sign the document prior to beginning the task and following the completion of the task. If a task changes for any reason, work stops immediately. When a change to a pre-task plan is required, a safety huddle, which will be discussed momentarily, is required. The pre-task plan is discussed, adjusted, and communicated to ensure safe execution of the task. Crews are required to sign the changes before restarting the work and sign off when the task is complete. Pre-task plans are regularly audited by Barton Mallow and by our clients. Another vital planning and communication tool is the Plan of the Day, or POD meeting. Each workday begins with a Plan of Day meeting. Representative contractor and subcontractor foremen and their crews discuss the work scheduled for each day and the associated hazards and requirements for each task. It is important to treat the POD meeting as you would any other business meeting. Participate and stay engaged, focused, and undistracted. Safety huddles are another communication tool that occur at least 3 times daily on Barton Malow job sites. Huddles are scheduled at the start of each day, following mid-shift breaks, and at the end of each workday. Safety huddles are designed to bridge gaps in communication and identify and mitigate potential job site hazards. Safety huddles are designed to promote active, two-way communication and discussion, not just listening. Your attendance is required and your active participation is highly encouraged. This is your opportunity to review, discuss, and understand the upcoming work, safety requirements, and develop an overall awareness of site activities. Safety huddle discussions include site traffic restrictions and changes, weather conditions, work conditions, new safety policies, and changes to pre-task plans. Weekly toolbox talks are scheduled to discuss topical safety information and review incidences. Failing to learn from and adjust to errors and oversights is a greater infraction than the initial mistake. As such, events covered in toolbox talks are actual incidences that occurred on Barton Malow job sites. Toolbox talks are an opportunity to reflect on the personal impacts of the incidents described and prevent reoccurrences. As with all scheduled safety communication meetings, your attendance is required and your active and undistracted participation is highly encouraged. Toward achieving our goal of 0, procedures and policies are our next vital safety multiplier. Formal policies and procedures have been established to provide guidance and direction regarding the safe planning and execution of a variety of tasks. The following highlighted policies and procedures apply to all Barton Malow job sites. They are guided by the Barton Malow Safety Manual and OSHA requirements. Depending on your job site, you may also have site-specific requirements that will be discussed in a separate presentation. While we have numerous safety-specific policies in place, there are also policies that you must be aware of prior to setting foot on a Barton Malow job site. To be clear, there are behaviors and activities that can and will cause workers to be removed from job sites and/or terminated from employment. Any worker that is in violation of the following policies is subject to removal and/or termination: workplace violence policy, sexual harassment policy, substance policy, weapons policy, smoking policy. Disciplinary actions include verbal or written warnings, suspension, or termination depending on the infraction. Just as Barton Malow has a zero tolerance policy for unsafe acts or conditions, we also have a zero tolerance policy for intimidation, threats of violence, and acts of violence. Barton Malow is committed to maintaining a workplace free from threats or acts of intimidation and violence. Any reported incident shall be thoroughly investigated. If an employee is observed in violation of this policy, termination of employment may result. Barton Malow defines intimidation, threats, and violence as the following. Intimidation: a physical or verbal act towards another person, the result of which causes that person to reasonably fear for his or her safety or the safety of others. Threat of violence: a physical or verbal act that threatens bodily harm to another person or damage to the property of another. Our goal is to have a drug-free workplace. To this end, Barton Malow has zero tolerance for illegal drugs, non-prescription drugs, and alcohol on all of our job sites. To ensure the safety of everyone on the job site, pre-employment, random, post-incident, and reasonable suspicion testing may be required. Smoking on Barton Malow sites is highly discouraged. Smoking inside any Barton Malow office or trailer is prohibited. Many project sites now prohibit smoking entirely. Others allow it only in designated areas. Violation of the smoking policy will result in disciplinary action up to and including permanent removal. Firearms, ammunition, or other weapons at Barton Malow workplaces, including a job site, are prohibited. Knives are permitted for legitimate construction purposes only. To be clear, the Barton Malow weapons policy overrides CPL or CCW. Your concealed permit license does not allow you to carry your weapon on any Barton Mallow job site. All Barton Mallow job sites require personal protective equipment, or PPE. As a reminder, you will see this PPE sign on every Barton Mallow job site. Hard hat, ANSI-rated safety glasses with side shields or over-the-glass glasses. Clear glasses must be worn while working indoors. High visibility clothing, orange, bright green, or yellow. Gloves on your person, meaning immediately available for use. Work boots, hearing protection on your person. Site or task-specific requirements, including face shields, respirators, and other such equipment. 4-inch minimum sleeve shirt, long pants. Additional site-specific PPE may be required. Regardless of the task you undertake throughout the day, a few basic rules apply universally. It is vital that you keep your eyes and your mind on the task. Visual attention on your task can help prevent or minimize injuries. Similarly, mental focus on your task is imperative as well. Stay focused on your work and nothing else. We are human and our minds do wander. It is important to be self-aware and realize when your mind begins to wander away from your task. Learn to recognize this and stop your work. Be aware of your surroundings at all times. Walk a clear, safe path. Be aware of overhead work taking place on the site. Stay out of the line of fire of vehicles, picks, and other hazards. You may have spent considerable time on a construction site and have become accustomed to the sounds associated with construction sites. The sounds of engines revving and vehicle backup alarms can be overlooked as we become accustomed to hearing them regularly. It is important to stay focused on these warnings at all times. Job site conditions are constantly changing. Site activities, material use, and weather conditions significantly impact the general safety of any job site. Keep an eye out for construction debris, materials, cords, and tools, and uneven terrain. Rainy or wet weather conditions will create mud. As conditions dry up, mud will harden to create trenches and ruts. Similarly, melting snow and ice may refreeze to create unseen icy conditions and slip hazards. Awareness of your surrounding and the work being done around you is vital to job site safety. Be aware of the work being done and consider the impact on yourself and of those around you. It is important to warn nearby workers of the work you will be doing before you begin your task. Likewise, it is important to ask nearby workers what type of work they are performing. Avoid areas where potential dangers or conflicting tasks are present. Always remember, if you see a situation or activity that is unsafe, you are empowered to stop the work until the unsafe condition is rectified. The Occupational Safety and Health Administration, or OSHA, statistics indicate that most serious injuries on construction sites are a result of one of the following: falls, electrocutions, caught in betweens, struck by. Regardless of the job site you are working, chances are there is a potential for any or all of these incidents. As with every task you undertake, it is important to be proactive in recognizing the potential for these incidents and taking the necessary steps to be aware of and prevent them. It is important that you are knowledgeable and trained on the proper use of any equipment prior to using it. Use of ladders, fall protection, and power tools require basic safe operating knowledge. Make sure that you are familiar with the proper use before you begin the work. If you are unclear on the proper use of any piece of equipment, it is vital that you ask questions or request training. Your expertise and experience are incredibly valuable resources. If you are asked for instruction regarding the proper use of tools and equipment, be certain that you are providing proper instruction and accurate information. Just because you've been operating tools and equipment a certain way does not mean that it is the correct way. If you are not confident that you can provide the correct response or instruction, direct the question to the appropriate individual. Equipment such as aerial lifts, forklifts, cranes, and impact guns require appropriate licensing or certification to operate. In the following sections, you will hear the term competent person. The term competent person is defined as one who is capable of identifying existing and predictable hazards in the surroundings or working conditions which are unsanitary, hazardous, or dangerous to employees. By way of training and/or experience, a competent person is knowledgeable of applicable standards, is capable of identifying workplace hazards relating to the specific operation, and has the authority to correct them. Some standards add additional specific requirements which must be met by the competent person. Falls are one of the leading causes of injury in the construction industry, but falls are 100% preventable. At Barton Malow, proper fall protection is required for all trades and all work activities such as steel erection, roofing, and scaffolding with a fall exposure of 6 feet or more. Some work, such as working on a platform that does not have a guardrail installed, may require a worker to tie off before a 6-foot exposure. Owner and site-specific requirements may require fall protection on ladders. Depending on the type of fall hazard, engineered controls such as fixed handrails, guardrails or scaffolding, or personal fall arrest systems must be utilized. Regardless of the system, fall protection must be 100% continuous. Fixed guardrails must be built to specific height and support specifications and can be constructed out of wood, wire rope, or pipe. Daily inspections of guardrail systems is vital. If a fault is discovered in a fall protection system, work must stop in the surrounding area until the system can be repaired. Fall hazards can also be addressed using a fall arrest system. Fall arrest systems contain 3 vital components: a full body harness, a lanyard, and an anchor point. All components must be inspected prior to use, and proper use is critical. When wearing the body harness, make sure the straps are not twisted and that they are worn close against your body. Your daily planning must address appropriate tie-off locations, proper equipment selection, and equipment inspection. For fall arrest systems, the competent person for the contractor must identify appropriate anchor points for the system, and tie-off must be 100% continuous. Anchor points must limit a free fall to 6 feet or less and must prevent a worker from contacting any hazard below. Anchor points must be able to support 5,000 pounds for each worker attached. While scaffolding provides access to elevated work, it also functions as fall protection. Scaffolds must be erected as designed by the manufacturer under the direction of a competent person and must be inspected daily and before each use. Scaffolds must be plumb and level and include all necessary accessories such as screw jacks, base plates, mud sills, handrails, mid-rail, cross spacing, toe boards, and other required parts. A color tag system is required to help distinguish a complete scaffold that is safe from those that are incomplete and unsafe. Remember, no tag is a red tag. A red tag indicates the scaffold is unsafe. Yellow tag means fall protection must be worn to use or that the scaffold is under construction. A green tag indicates that the scaffold is safe for use. If you notice an issue or a fault with the scaffold, do not use it. Do not allow anyone else to use it. And report the problem immediately to your supervisor. Like many other seemingly simple tools on a construction site, ladders are another major source of injury. Prior to using a ladder, employees must receive proper ladder safety training. All manufacturer safety requirements regarding weight and height limits and proper position must be followed. Proper inspection of ladders prior to use is vital. Steps must be clean and securely fastened to the ladder side rails. Ladders should be checked for cracks and missing or loose parts. Any defective ladder must be removed from service. Ladders must be repaired by the manufacturer or a certified technician. Prior to using any ladder, the area must be inspected for nearby electrical hazards. Ladders must be on a level base. Duty ratings for ladders indicate the maximum weight allowed on the ladder. The weight capacity includes the body weight of the worker using the ladder and the weight of tools and equipment. When using an A-frame ladder, the ladder must be fully open and in a locked and level position. Never use the top 2 steps. One step and one cap must remain unused. When using an extension ladder, the ladder must be physically secured at the top of the ladder and at the base. The top of the ladder must extend a minimum of 3 foot above the landing area. The ladder must be positioned using the proper angle. For every 4 foot of rise, the ladder must run 1 foot. If you're using a ladder adjacent to a fall exposure, above a guardrail or similar situation, personal fall protection must be used per the previous policies and procedures. Access controls are used on construction projects to prevent or regulate access to certain areas. Common barricades include red danger tape. This is the equivalent of a do not enter sign. In order to enter this area, you must request permission from personnel in charge of the area. Yellow caution tape. Access is allowed, however, awareness of possible hazards and caution must be exercised by personnel. Tape is not an acceptable alternative to a positive or physical barrier, such as a concrete barrier or guardrail when required. Concrete barriers, snow fencing, yellow rope, plastic chain, or chain link fencing may also be used on site to designate areas of danger and restrict access. A good practice reminder regarding access control: if in doubt, do not cross. Common locations of barricades include excavation in trenches, swing radius of equipment, fall zones, and edge protection on roof jobs. Signage indicating why the barricade is in place must be displayed. Barton Mail requires a permit for all roof access. Permits are obtained through the construction manager or project manager. Appropriate access and egress, such as ladders and stair towers, must be established and safely implemented for roof access. Additionally, appropriate warning lines specific to particular trades must be established in addition to the required fall protection. All materials lifted to roofs must be properly rigged and contained to ensure that they cannot be displaced. Roofers may place the warning line as close as 6 feet from the edge. For other trades working on the roof, the warning line must be 15 feet from the edge. If any Barton Mail employee or subcontractor employee is working on the outside of the warning lines, then 100% fall protection is required. Excavation is defined as any intentional disturbance to the soil. Appropriate protections must be planned and implemented anytime excavation occurs on site. The required protective system is determined by soil conditions and the angle of repose of the excavation. Shoring, sloping, benching and shoring, or trench box shield system will be determined and put in place based on soil conditions and the angle of repose of the material. Additionally, access and egress will also be determined by the type of soil support system used. Some excavations create hazardous atmospheres. Soil contamination procedures must be planned prior to beginning excavation. Air quality issues in deep trenches from equipment exhaust must also be addressed. Pre-shift inspections of all excavation areas is required. Weather conditions and equipment traffic can significantly alter excavation sites. All unsafe conditions must be rectified prior to continuing any work in or near the excavation site. Standing water must be removed from the excavation. The most common incidents during excavation are underground utility exposures. All underground utility locations must be determined prior to beginning excavation. A variety of underground utility location methods may be used. Drawings, local knowledge, and hired or private location services must be used to accurately locate underground utilities. Once underground utility locations have been determined and marked, hand digging is required. Additionally, soft dig procedures such as water jet excavation may be required to ensure safe utility locations. There are literally thousands of chemicals in the workplace that are identified as hazardous. It is vital to understand the hazards of any chemical prior to using it. Either the container label or the safety data sheet, SDS, are the primary communication method for the hazard of any chemical. Each communication tool identifies the hazards of the chemical, safe work and storage practices, proper disposal, and the required PPE for using and handling the chemical. Exposure and emergency treatments are also included on the SDS. If medical treatment is required for a material exposure, it is important to provide the SDS to the medical personnel. All incoming containers shall be properly labeled with identity, hazard warning, and name and address of the responsible party. Every chemical container, including personal use and transfer containers, must be labeled appropriately. In the event of an unplanned release of chemicals, fuels, lubricants, gases, or other similar substance, all incidents must be immediately reported to your supervisor and your regional safety director, regardless of quantity. For lesser hazard chemical spills and releases, spill kits are located on site. Refer to SDS sheets for precautions and instructions related on how to clean up and dispose. Depending on the nature and quantity of the release, 911 or site security may also need to be contacted. An action plan will be developed to address the release, and appropriate disposal practices will be put in place. Proper housekeeping on any job site is important to prevent incidents, injuries, hazards, and fires. Available material, equipment, concrete forms, pipe, or other material must be orderly stacked out of walkways and away from doors, stairways, and ladders. Aisles and passageways must be kept clear of tools, building materials, debris, equipment. Stored materials, especially flammable liquids and combustible materials, shall not obstruct or be near exits. Materials shall be stored with due regard to their fire characteristics. Work areas shall be cleaned as the work progresses and/or is completed, but at least daily. Trash, such as drinking cups, cans, and scraps from lunch, must be disposed of properly. Where such items as protruding rebar and anchor bolts create an impalement hazard or a tripping hazard, they must be properly protected with wood, steel plates, or plastic caps due to the type of materials, chemicals, and work that take place on a construction site. The risk of fire is significant. Good housekeeping can significantly reduce the risk of fire. Scrap and waste materials should be disposed of regularly. Flammable and combustible gases and chemicals must be stored in fire-safe containers. Flammable chemicals must also not be used near any hot work. Heaters, such as salamanders, ready heaters, or space heaters, shall be UL approved. Keep heaters away from combustible materials and at least 50 feet away from flammable liquids and gases. Inspection of fire extinguishers is the responsibility of your foreman or supervisor. However, you are equally responsible for monitoring and inspecting extinguishers prior to being taken on a site as part of your hot work. If you notice a discharge, damage, or unusable extinguisher anywhere on the site, advise your foreman or supervisor immediately. If you discharge an extinguisher, it is vital that you inform your supervisor of the incident. Notify site security or 911 as required. In the event of a fire, it is important to use a fire extinguisher properly. When using a fire extinguisher, remember, pass, pull the pin, aim at the base of the fire, squeeze the trigger, sweep back and forth at the base of the fire. There are three main classes of fire and fire extinguishers: Class A, B, and C. The class designation is determined by the cause of the fire or the material that is burning. Different fire classes require different extinguishing techniques. Do not use water extinguishers for Class C or electrical fires. Hot work is defined as any work that produces sparks, embers, hot metal slag, or open flames. Hot work permits may be required by an owner or by a particular site depending on the location of the hot work or the level of project completion. The person completing the hot work permit shall confirm that proper fire hazard prevention measures have been taken, including removal of combustible materials and flammable liquids and gases, and the posting of a fire watch person. When using temporary electrical supply, ground fault circuit interrupters, GFCIs, must be used on all Barton Mallow projects. GFCIs can save lives by preventing electrical shock. GFCIs automatically interrupt power to tools when water or a current imbalance is detected. Power cords and GFCIs should be inspected daily before use. Damaged power cords and GFCIs must be taken out of service, tagged, or repaired by an authorized electrician. Where overhead power lines are encountered on a job site and equipment has the potential to contact the lines, the safe minimum clearances shall be followed. The line shall either be relocated in cooperation with the utility provider or the owner, or safe clearance barriers shall be erected. Before beginning equipment operations, the work zone must be identified and marked with flags. The work zone is defined as the area 360 degrees around the equipment, up to the equipment's maximum working radius. If equipment is able to come closer than 20 foot of a power line, one of the following needs to happen. De-energize and ground the power line. Maintain a clearance of 20 foot. Maintain distance requirements. A lockout-tagout program must be used to render inoperative electrical systems, pumps, pipelines, valves, and machinery that may be accidentally energized or started up while maintenance, repair, or installation is being done. LOTO must be used before the systems are mechanically ready and released for service. Barton Mallow will issue locks and applicable tags to employees conducting lockout-tagout procedures. Barton Mallow will also keep a log of all energy sources being locked out. Systems must be tested to ensure there is no power or stored energy within the system. Confined spaces include manholes, excavations, air handling units, storage tanks, bins, hoppers, chutes, process vessels, and open containers more than 4 feet deep. It may be hazardous or even deadly for employees to enter a confined space. An employee who is required to work in a confined space or other hazardous locations must be properly trained and equipped to perform the work without risk of injury or illness. Communication is vital to all tasks on construction sites. Specialized communication techniques, such as those used by rigging signal personnel, require specialized training and experience. When power lifting any materials, both the signal person and the rigger must be certified and have proof of their certification available prior to beginning the material handling. Manual material handling also requires safe practice. For example, weights greater than 50 pounds require 2 or more people or mechanical equipment to lift. Awkward or unbalanced materials under 50 pounds may also require 2 or more people or mechanical equipment to lift safely. As with all tools on a construction site, it is vital to inspect all rigging equipment prior to use. Any damaged equipment must be tagged as defective and removed from service. If a rigging identification tag is missing or illegible, the rigging equipment must be removed from service. A critical lift is defined as lifts that meet or exceed 75% lifting rating capacity of the equipment being utilized, lifts that involve the use of more than one crane, lifts that involve unusual hazards, such as lifting over occupied structures, lifting high-value or long replacement time items. Critical lifts must have a specific lift plan in writing. The lift plan will include a critical lift form, crane inspection documentation, and a copy of the operator's certification and medical card. A pre-lift safety meeting will be held with all parties involved or impacted by the critical lift. Inspecting tools prior to use is important to reducing injury and incidents. Damaged tools are not safe to use. Check the conditions of your tools before using them and replace them if they are damaged. Inspect electrical tool cords for damage. Cheater bars or handle extenders should not be used. Be aware of your hand placement and wear gloves. Always choose the right tool for the job. A variety of safety signage is on display throughout every job site. It is vital to obey the warnings and restrictions depicted on the signs. If you are unclear of the warning or intent of a particular sign, do not proceed with your task until that intent is clear. An incident is defined as an unplanned event that results in injury, property damage, or a near miss. All incidents must be reported to your supervisor and your regional safety director immediately. The purpose of reporting incidents is to identify what went wrong and how to correct and prevent the recurrence. The purpose is not to assign blame or fault. However, individuals in violation of safety policies may be disciplined. Investigations involve reviewing pre-task plans, schedules, and interviewing the workers and witnesses. Cell phone use can distract from working safely and productively. The following policy applies to all Barton Mallow and contractor employees. Personal cell phones are not to be used on construction sites except to report an emergency or on an approved break. Use of business cell phones shall not interfere with job site safety. Use of cell phones while driving a company vehicle is discouraged. Use of cell phones while operating equipment is prohibited.